So now that we have talked about the world entities, their components and their interfaces, we talked about the portals, both the components and the interfaces, and we've implemented some basic mechanics that we can do with this OtherWorld system. We still have no way to pull one thing from one world and make it traverse into another world. Let me demonstrate real quickly. Taking this object here and pulling it through the portal doesn't really do anything because there's no real interaction between the portal and the world entity, and only characters can actually trigger these transitions. As you can see, this object is still in the same place even though I pushed it through the portal. The same thing happens if I go for an ability based transition. And for that there's in an interface that is called a world traveler. And world entity components by default are actually already implemented this interface. So the only thing that we need to do is make sure that this cube here, which already has that component, can be grabbed and pulled through the world. And I'm just going to implement a basic grabbing mechanic here. This is by no means best practice, but it gets the point across. So first off, what we need to do is I'm just going to show you first the interface. The world traveler, as soon as I have it select there, the OtherWorld tab here gets shown. The drop down collapsible. And there are two functions. We have the is traversing and the set is traversing. Now this should be set on the actor that will be traversing between the different worlds, meaning our cube and not really our character. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove it and remove all traces of it. So in essence, the entity component of the world cube here is supposed to be handling the traversal. Now again, the world entity component does this by default. And all we need to do is grab this and pull it over. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to add the ability to do so by, again, a button press and doing the debug key num1 this time. And what we want to do here is we want to grab something, right? But we need to know what we grab. And this implementation is probably not the best way to go about it. It's just one way to show you how to traverse one thing from one world, one entity from one world into another one. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and do a sphere trace. I'm going to do so by channel and just plug in some nodes here. For the starting position, I'm going to have the actor location. And I'm going to do the sphere trace end here at an offset from the prey location. So for that, I'm going to need the the character forward. Oops. Get the actor forward vector. There we go. And I'm going to multiply it with some offset. 100. And then I'm just going to add this one back to our actor location. And there it is. I'm going to have some radius. And this is what our sphere trace will look like. So what we do right now is we take the actor location and we sphere trace it into a forward vector in a forward direction from the character that we're playing with. And if we have something, if we actually hit something, we want to grab it, right? And for that, I'm going to use the Unreal Engine physics handle. And the reason for that is the physics handle actually has something called a grab. You can actually grab something. And there's the function that we want to use. Grab the component at location. And it requires a component. So let us split this structure here and take the actual hit component and move there. And we want to grab this at the location of the center of mass. If we grab it at the center of mass, it's not going to wobble around like a pendulum, for instance. It will probably rotate if you hit something, but you're just picking it up from the center of mass, basically. But all this doesn't really have to do anything with our entity, and we're not really setting anything on the entity. We're not telling it to be prepared to move between the worlds. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to take the actor. I'm going to find the interface that actually implements this. Component by interface. There's a get component by interface node, and what we're looking for is the world traveler interface. And the world traveler interface is basically a way to notify the OtherWorld system that, hey, this thing that we have right now is about to enter another world. It's a world traveler, and our world entity component actually already implements this. And this is where the event that I was talking about really quickly in another video, I actually just mentioned it. The world traversal changed. This is when it's going to be fired, when we actually move from one world to another. When we set the world traveler to be prepared to move between the different worlds. Really quick here, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what the world traveler interface actually looks like. It is literally just a setter and a getter. And under the hood, it's just it could be anything like a boolean. I'm just going to remove this one, because our world entity actually already implements this. So our boxes that we have with the components that implement that use the component world entity, they are already usable. They can already be traversed between different worlds. Whereas the ones that we have with the interfaces need to have an additional interface implemented if you want to be able to move them between. And with this one, we want to have a version of it, and we want to make sure that we set the traversal set is traversing to true. And this is it. So we're grabbing something that we look for, which is the world traveler interface, that it actually has that component, and then we're setting it to traversing. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, but in the reverse order, so that we can also drop it. Debug key numpad 2. And for that, we're going to take this one. We're going to set release the component. But when we want to make sure that we release it after we actually have set the traversing state to false. And this one has a property called grabbed component. So we can grab it, take this function, and take the grabbed component. We get the owner of it. Oops. We get owner. And we want to do the same thing here. We want to get the component that actually implements the interface. And we'll set that to false. We also want to make sure that this is done before we release it, because otherwise the grabbed component here will be null and this check will fail. All right, this is not completely done yet, but what we have done so far is that we can grab something and we can drop it. However, when we press something, we don't really see anything happening, right? If we move over to the other world, it is still with us. It's just that it doesn't follow our character around. If I drop it, it's now set to the new world. I can traverse back and you can see both of them are indeed in the same world. I can pick it up again, move to the other world, drop it, and you can see they now toggle on between the worlds. So let's do the last thing here and make sure that we actually have something following us around. Before that, I'm just going to go ahead and implement the take function. And I will take the physics handle, get the grabbed object, set the target location. And the location that we want to be setting is what we've done before with the sphere trace, meaning our actor location with an offset. So this is just going to be in front of the character. But of course, you don't always have the grab component, right? So you need to check, do we actually have something here? Otherwise, you'll just get errors. Let's see if this is valid. And if so, set the target location where we want it to be. So now when I pick it up, we can see we can pick it up. It's actually colliding with the character, especially since we're wobbling things around here. It is still colliding with the world and also the character. Now I switch the world, I drop it, and you can see they both now exist in the same world. So let's just go ahead and do the last thing here and just remove the collision. And I will do this over here after we have grabbed the thing here. I'm taking the component, set collision response to channel, and I'm going to set it to ignore the pawn. And then do the same thing here when we release it, but the opposite direction. So I'm just going to take the component here, the grab component, and instead of ignoring the pawn, we should now block it. And as you can see, it works great. Of course, it's still occluding us, the camera view, and that's why you see this little zoom in there. But if I take this one now and I jump into the other world, you see it follows me around, I drop it, and I can jump between the worlds, and you can see it actually works as intended. And I can do this with the portals as well, and you can see they actually do as intended. And that is how you make sure that you, when you're running around and you pull things from one timeline, you can actually move them to another timeline. In case you're interested in the event, let's go ahead and do that. We can actually implement the on world's traversal changed event, meaning that at the time as when I am changing the state on these cubes, I could play a particle effect, right? But at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and play a sound. And I'm going to go, let's see if we can have some good one. maybe the click on button when we pick it up, and this one when we drop it. So let's do a branch here. If it is traversing, meaning we just picked it up, right? And we want the click on button, and if we want to drop it, meaning we can just take the shutter here, and you'll see as soon as I pick it up, it plays. There you go. This is how you handle it.